All right, so I'll just kind of get right to the presentation, really. But before we get started, what I wanted to talk about today isn't necessarily about funnels because, you know, you definitely need a funnel. I believe that every business owner needs a funnel, especially if you want to automate a lot of your processes and attract, leads and convert them into buyers. So I named it Clearing Clutter for Clarity because I believe it's important for us to understand and know some of the beginning processes before you even think about building a funnel. Um, at a certain level, you already have a funnel. I don't know what your guys' businesses are right now. They may not be online funnels, but more of like a sales process. A funnel is just a sales process. So we'll talk a little bit about your sales process and how you can kind of get clear on that. But more importantly, what I think is necessary for everybody is to really identify um, who they're going to be talking to, because I think in business, a lot of us, when we get started, we want to help everybody, right? We just want to serve, we want to go out there and change a bunch of lives. But at the end of the day, we can't really help everybody. And I'll kind of dive into that a little bit as well. So we'll also go over your refined marketing statement. This is going to help you identify how to talk to your market. And then your big domino statement is basically that hurdle or that frustration or whatever it is that's preventing them from maybe taking action or stepping into that person that they need to be in order to get the result, which is where you actually help them. So first, we're going to be talking about identifying your who. So there's 3 different types of products. Okay, there's information, there's service, and then there's items. So like Shopify, you got products, stuff like that. Information is kind of where me and Nick are. That's kind of our specialty, where we present the information, put it in a membership area, and sell it. And then service, can be consulting, it can be brick and mortar, just anything that provides, just value more of on a one-on-one basis. Okay, then there's 3 different types of industries. You've got health, relationships, and wealth. So now there's obviously going to be subcategories to each of these. And that's kind of where you want to be. But this is just a general 30-foot or 30,000 foot view of the different types of industries. Now, you obviously know where where your place is within your industry, but you can dive deeper into each of those, and we'll talk about that. So why it's important is to clarify who your message is for, to help you create targeted content to attract the right leads into your business, and then also at the same time repel the leads that you don't want in your business. Okay, because again, going back, what I was saying is we don't necessarily want to work with everybody. Not everybody can pay us. Not everybody is a good fit for our personality and the way we do business. Not everybody, has is maybe even at a point in their business. Maybe, like, for example, for me, I'm trying to help other business owners that are already established grow their business. So not for somebody that is just getting started. You know what I'm saying? So it's a different who. So you really need to be very specific and clear on who this is for. So a great question, and this is Frank Kern. He probably got it from somebody else, but it doesn't matter. Ask yourself, who can I help the most, the fastest, and with the least amount of resistance? So whenever you're identifying your who, you kind of have an idea of that, especially if you've already been in business for a little bit, you've already helped a few people, maybe you've helped a lot of people, it doesn't matter. Who is it that you've been able to help the most of your current clients? Who was the fastest and the easiest to work with? What was, with the least amount of resistance? It didn't cause a bunch of pain. They weren't hard to work with. It didn't take a lot to bring them up to speed to where they're at now, or where you need them to be. Excuse me. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay.
No, Shane, like I'm so glad you brought this up, man, because if you, as an entrepreneur, look at like, who is your favorite client that, like, usually you loved working with them. They were a blast to work with, but like you served them so well. I'm so glad you brought this up, man, because I think when you look at it from that standpoint, that almost becomes like, who can I help the most of? And more times than not, that person has a ton of people around them that are just like them, right? And I think that's one of the coolest things, dude. Great freaking way to start this.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because I'm sure any of us that have been in business that have worked with enough people, we have those clients that we're just like, I don't want to work with them anymore. And that's kind of what has molded us into the position we are in now, working with the people that we work with now. You know, one of my mentors says, if you don't know what you don't want, you don't know what you do want. So we kind of had to go through that process in order to figure out, okay, I'm not willing to deal with somebody that complains a lot. I'm not willing to X, Y, and Z. But those criteria go into the least amount of resistance and who you can help the most. So it's very important to identify. Okay. Now, this goes into creating your customer avatar, and be so specific, you can almost give them a name. And why this is so important is when and I might have even put a slide for that. No, so we'll get into this. But why that's so important is because if you can visualize them in your mind, if we can do that, your people start to feel understood. They feel like, you really put the time in, and you're the best fit for them. And when you actually have those conversations one-on-one, or whatever the case may be, maybe you're not doing one-on-one, it's just more of a fluent conversation. You guys both speak the same language. You guys kind of have a similar style, things like that. Okay, so we're talking like, what is their age? And again, maybe I didn't say this yet, but you can be a little bit general, but be as specific as possible. Obviously, your target market isn't going to be 33 years old exactly, maybe, but pretty rarely. Okay, and again, with gender, it may be both, but maybe it's more male dominant or female dominant. Social status. So this is going to be your middle class, or basically, I would look at it more of a income standpoint. This is nice for if you for example, with me, some of the clients that I work with, the criteria is that they need to be making 6 figures or more per year, because by knowing that, number one, they can afford my services. Number two, they probably already have a business that's producing cash flow. And so now my job becomes a little bit easier. I know that I can take them from where they're at and scale them to where they want to be, as opposed to, maybe if you were targeting somebody that was just getting started, their income wouldn't have to be as much, but you would have a clearer identifying visualization of who they are. So what is their current circumstance? And I kind of labeled this one twice, but we're talking like, what are their frustrations? Where are they at currently? What are they facing right now that's causing them pain or discomfort or whatever it is, or yeah, basically that. So again, that's what I meant by frustrations, is their current circumstances. Okay, I even go down to how do they dress, because like for me, I like to wear a lot of plain clothes, like one color. Black is kind of my color. But by knowing that, because somebody that wears, khakis that are pulled up to their stomach with a belt and, button up and some, I don't know, some long socks. I'm just trying to describe somebody. You can kind of get a visual picture of who they are, and almost, what's the word? Get their personality out of that. Not always, and it's not always fact. It doesn't mean we judge them based on what how they dress, but it gives us more information. So, what do they like to do for fun? Are they into skiing? Uh, are they a football fanatic? Do they go for runs? Whatever the case may be, we're still trying to get a deeper understanding of their personality, what interests them, and how to talk to them. That's the core element of identifying your who, is really how to talk to them. Because again, we're not talking to everybody. A message for somebody that is just getting started is different for somebody that has already started and is getting results that wants more results. You're talking to two different types of people, so you really need to understand this.
Dude, I love
um,
how deep you went though, because I think the general, like whenever you say who's your who, a man or a woman or a kid or an old person from 25 to 75, right? Like I think often we get too broad, and I'm so glad that you're kind of niching this down. I mean, dude, the thing that I just picked up is how do they dress? Like how do you dress as like the impact of an entrepreneur too to attract in that person, right? Like I think like okay, so take your brand for example, dude. Young swagger, beanie on, you're just a kind of a rad dude, which represents, I call you the funnel hacking kid, right? Like I think my brand comes
mhm.
across differently if I'm in khakis and like a tucked in shirt with a pocket protector versus like, me in a hat with a beard, right? Like I think dude, that's like
Totally.
I'm like mind blown reading this right now. Like I'm literally taking notes on like getting even the subsets of my avatar, like what are they doing on the weekends? Like, okay, what's this entrepreneur up to, dude? So freaking rad point, man. Mind blown already. Thank you. We're 10 minutes in. Woohoo.
Sweet. Hell yeah. All right. So who do they follow? A big hack that I got, and I do a lot of. I'm constantly trying to buy courses and study and get better at advertising and funnels. And one of the things that Traffic and Funnels brought up was who do they follow? So you can literally go to somebody's Facebook page, and maybe it's somebody that is kind of an ideal prospect. Go to their Facebook page and look at all the people that they follow. What are the other pages? And it doesn't have to be, like for example, if I were to look at Nikki T, he probably follows other marketing gurus just like I do. But go even deeper than that. What like magazines do they like to read and follow? Self development, or maybe not. Maybe it's cooking. Maybe it's lawn mowing. I don't know what it is. Um, but this allows you to do a little bit deeper digging on who they are, to really hone in on that avatar. Okay, what's their political stance? Are they, and it doesn't really matter. You're not really going to talk about politics, but this also gives you deeper depth on who they are. What do they subscribe to? So this kind of goes along with who do they follow, but do they um, do they subscribe to different magazines, newspapers, blogs, articles, whatever it is? Do as much research as you can, and really the first step in or phase before building your funnel is this. Like this takes precedence over the design. This takes precedence over the structure of it, even because it doesn't matter if you don't know who you're talking to. If you just build a funnel and then start talking, no one's going to know who it's for, not even you. So it's very important that this comes first. Okay, and then where are they located? Maybe they're just in the United States, maybe they're nationwide, maybe they're in your state. What is their marital status, and do they have kids? Yes or no? Again, just allowing you to go deeper, and you can go as deep as you want. You can continue to add to this, but I just wanted to give a few: religious beliefs, spiritual beliefs, and values. And values, probably should have made its own little category, because values also goes into, you know, um, are they looking for trust? Are they a trustworthy person? Do they um, what am I trying to say? Values, just like, I don't know, you have your own certain set of values that make you who you are. What are theirs? Because then you can kind of talk to those values and basically become those values in your message. Okay. And then two is your refined marketing statement, your RMS. If you buy marketing courses and stuff like this, that I'm sure you've heard this before, but this is your outline. So go ahead and write this down. I'll give you a couple seconds. But I help audience or market. I help, and so this is why that's why we did the audience first. So I help this specific audience or market get a quantifiable end result, and we'll break each of these down, without the old way of doing things, by your new way of doing things. Now, what this allows us to do is this is like our framework for talking to our customers, because if you know who you help and what their result is, the end result is, and what they will be able to avoid, and your way of doing it is as it being superior to the old way, then all of your marketing content is, it just stays right there. You don't have to really go outside of that. You're not talking to anyone different. You're not talking about a different result than what they actually want. And you can um, essentially, and Russell Brunson talks about this, is throwing rocks at your competitors, throwing rocks at the old way of doing it. It's not necessarily shaming or belittling the old way they've done it, because that's what they've been doing. So you don't want to make them wrong, but also being on their side. Like, yeah, I know that method. I tried that, it didn't work, but here's the new way of doing it, and that's your way. You're letting them know that you understand their frustration as well. So that's why in the beginning we've identified that too. So that's what their frustrations are. Their frustrations, maybe their frustration is, they can't seem to get enough leads, or maybe they can't sell enough homes, or whatever it is. And there's maybe the selling homes, the old way of doing it is advertising on Zillow, and then so you're like, well, that way doesn't work, so let me show you the way that does. So you're just kind of leveling with them, and getting on their level essentially, and helping them through the process of getting to the desired result that they want, easier, faster, and with less resistance. So now, like I said, I was going to break down each of these. So your audience, or your target market, who do you serve the most, the fastest, and with the least amount of resistance? Okay. What are the characteristic traits? We've kind of already covered some of this. One thing I do want to touch on here is these two right here. Let's see, let me go back. Personality and language. So your target market has a specific type of language that they use. And it's not the language that you use in your business. Maybe it is. Like, for example, in marketing, there are certain verbiage or languages that we use, like CRM or automation or funnels. Even, I mean, funnels not a common word. So you want to identify how they already talk. And I was reading this in I believe it's called The Perfect Sales Letter, um, something like that, by Dan Kennedy. And he talks about how you want to enter into the conversation that they're already having. You don't want to pull them away from where they're already at. You don't want to like try to trick them into thinking that they need something else when they already know what they want. So, when it comes to the language, you need to understand how they already talk, and not give them the big words that make it seem like what you're talking about, but someone called it Barney style one time, and I thought that was pretty funny. Not necessarily dumb it down, but make it easier for people to comprehend, because you might say funnel in my example and you might lose them instantly. Like, what's a funnel? So then you have to go into explaining that, right? So I just wanted to make a note on that. Do your research. Use Facebook groups. You can go on Amazon. This is more for products or info. You can go to Amazon, look up books on that title, or niche or whatever like that, and then look at the comments and the reviews and see what people are complaining about, see what people like, and get a lot of information that way. You can go into Facebook groups. You can see what people are discussing. You can start your own discussion. And even in blogs, you can see what people are talking about. You can even use that content in your own marketing. It's basically just repurposing other people's content. It doesn't mean you're stealing, but you're making it your own based on what you know now, but using that as kind of a template, if that makes sense. Okay. And then read comments and reviews. Like I said, hack your competitors, and only the good ones, because I'm sure there's a lot of competitors out there that maybe aren't getting the results that you want. You don't necessarily want to take advice from a fat guy giving weight loss advice, that kind of thing. So find somebody that's getting the results you want, see what they're doing, and don't reinvent the wheel. Don't assume you know what your customers believe, and you can ask. So it's easy to think that we know exactly what our customers want, just based on the work that we've done currently. But I was listening to Dan Henry the other day, and he talks about putting out like a survey, and or like a questionnaire, and help getting those people to actually answer you and tell you what they want, what their frustrations are, what their desires are. Don't just assume you know exactly what they want. You need to do the research. You need to go deep and figure out, let's say, if you're selling real estate or helping someone buy or sell a home, what are their actual frustrations? Is it working with somebody that's trustworthy? Maybe they've had somebody in the past that's done them wrong, or are they getting enough? That could go along with trust. But um, you can ask. You could even go back to your past client list and say, "Hey, thanks for your business. Can you tell me a little bit about what it was before we got started that prevented you from stepping forward," or whatever it is. Hopefully that makes sense. And then at the bottom of these, I have refine your RMS consistently. This is something that you just continuously do. I refine mine all the time because it's always changing. I learn more and more about my audience. I learn more and more about my service. I learn more about everything in my business, and that refined marketing statement is your home. That's where you need to stay. So that needs to be watertight. So refine it as constantly as you can. Maybe what you need to do up front is be general, just to get it out on paper, and then break it down from there, and just refine. All right, so the quantifiable end result. So this is important because it's something that is it's tangible, right? And so this diagram I have here is basically over here on the side. It's they're where they're at currently. They ain't got it, as Frank Kern would say. And over on the right, they got it. So this is where they get the results. So there's steps that are in between this. And for those of you that are taking notes on this right now, this is important also for your content, because this is going to give you a framework for what to create content on. So there's main pillars along the way, core steps that they have to take in order to get this result. Number one, for me, is they need to understand their who. They need to know their RMS. They need to know their big domino. They need to really be honed in on who they help. So I would put who here, because then I can break down the who into different subcategories and give content on this pillar. Now, a funnel, a sales process, I would call it sales process. Then I could do funnel, I could do webinars, I could do just subtopics, and those are all content topics that all bring them back to your funnel, which is what does the heavy lifting. And then 3 for me would be probably advertising, and then just go into the subcategories of advertising. But this is your structure. You could have like 3 to 5. I wouldn't go more than 5. 3 is pretty good, but you need a quantifiable end result, something that when you are talking to them in your webinars or your content or whatever it is, they can see that in their mind at the end of the tunnel. They can visualize themselves actually getting that thing. It can't just be, make more money. Well, how much more money, how much time, and how am I going to do it? There's a lot that goes into that. So be specific. What do they actually want? So what is their deep rooted desire? What do they want more than anything? What major steps do they have to take to get there? Again, those are your core pillars. How can it be measured as a tangible result? When it comes to money, Um, and in regards to compliance, Facebook and other advertising platforms, you can't give claims. So you can't say make $10,000 in 20 days. You know, that's a huge claim, and it won't work. You'll get shut down instantly. So it needs to be more of like, and you can't, and the Facebook policies and stuff like that are always changing. So if you are advertising, you need to be as up to date as possible on that, because now I've even heard that you're not able to even say that you've made a certain amount of money in a certain amount of days, because that way of doing it was working. But um, you know, how to lose the belly fat around your waist. And again, compliance there too. When it comes to weight loss, you can't, there's a lot of things, right? So, you really need to do your research, but you need to be able to also create that image of in their mind of that result that they're going to get at the end of the tunnel. Um, Hopefully I'm not going in too many circles here, but really trying to reiterate that. And what would they tell other people it did for them? So these are just kind of some questions you can ask for yourself to help you identify what the quantifiable end results would be. It saved them time. It saved them money. It saved, or it helped them lose weight. It helped them be happier, healthier, wealthier, whatever the case may be, but more from a tangible standpoint. And then why does this result matter so much to them? Okay. Now the old method, probably the slow way. What have they tried in the past that didn't work out? What, and this is, we've kind of talked about this, it's that Zillow example I gave. Maybe they're trying that and it's not working, and so they're frustrated. It's just trickling in leads and they're not actually quality leads, qualified leads, or whatever the case may be. Those are things you're going to want to know. What frustrations do they have about the old method? And I kind of labeled those as it's slow, they're not qualified, they're not ready to buy yet. Maybe they're just doing some research and just kicking tires, whatever the case may be. What parts of their problem with the old way can you resonate with? Where have you been in that position? You probably have, especially if you're helping somebody, kind of like, for example, me or Nikki T. We've been in the marketing and coaching industry for a while, so we're helping other people, but we've been in the position that they've been in, and can help them get out of that. So what parts of that do you resonate with? What beliefs do you now have to overcome that the old way has created? Because they've been beating their head on the wall on this old way of doing things, they may have lost hope. So you need to know that what beliefs have been created as a result of them not getting the result for so long, that might actually prevent you from breaking through to them and letting them know that you can actually help them. And if you can identify these things, you can talk about it in your content, in your webinars, and whatever it is that is actually selling them on working with you. And this goes without saying, even with like if you were doing sales calls or telemarketing or whatever, because I used to be in that industry, it's all relatively the same. It's just sales, right? So understanding your customer and then understanding what their problems and frustrations are and their beliefs and objections, uh, and being able to identify those and overcome them. Okay. And then the new method. What is the new way that is superior to the old way? That is the new process that you have in place that is more appealing. List of all the features and benefits of the new way. And this is just for your reference, but what I would really suggest is to sit down and write as many as you can without judgment. Get a whiteboard, get a piece of paper, and just bullet point everything that your product or service does, and pick the best benefits that actually reflect upon their beliefs, their objections, their frustrations, That way, you're overcoming that with a benefit and a feature. So how does the new method directly benefit them and not you? So that everything that we do cannot, I'm sure you've been on sales calls with people where they're talking about all the things that their thing does or their product or service does, and it's all about them. It's like, I can build you this badass sales funnel. I can do these ads for you, and okay, so what is the benefit for them? The benefit, though, is for them to save time, for them to get expert help, for them to not have to worry about going through the training, and to have confidence that what's being done is being done correctly and not through trial and error how it would have been done on their own. So how does the new method directly benefit them? Always keep them in mind and just forget about your own stuff, because it really doesn't matter, right? Anytime you buy something, it's because there was a benefit for you, right? So keep that in mind when you're talking about anything that your product or service does. Let's see. Oops. Let's go. What makes you so sold on this new method? So why and this doesn't have to be communicated, but I think it should, after you've communicated all of the direct benefits that they get. What makes you so sold on it? Why is it so great? Why is it so superior? What about it made it better than the old way? And what do they have to do differently? And this is kind of more of your the pillars that I was talking about on the last slide, or wait, 2 slides ago, is what are those steps? What are they going to have to do differently? What are they going to have to believe differently? Are they going to have to take more action? Are they going to this and that? So what's different about the new method than the old method? Okay. Oh, that I just put that slide up, so in case you wanted a revision of that. So I help audience or market get quantifiable end result without the old method by the new method, the new way of doing it. Okay. Number 3 is your big domino statement. Okay. If I can make blank believe the only or fastest way to get blank is through blank, and the only way to do that is through blank, then all objections become irrelevant and they must invest. So now let's do that again. If I can make my audience believe the only way or the fastest way to get the quantifiable end result or the desire is through the path, the new way, and the only way to do that is through your product or service. So these two things are different. The new way is just a path. It's just it's not necessarily, let's say my course was called super sweet course. I don't know. Okay. That would be the product or the service, not the path. The path is like, let's say, for example, I teach webinars. So that is the path. It's the way of doing it. It's not the actual thing that you're trying to solve. But in this phrase, you're helping the audience understand that if they can, if they believe that the only way or the fastest way is to get that desire that they actually want is through webinars or whatever your path is, and the only way to do that is through super cool course or whatever I said, then all objections become irrelevant and they must invest. So this is not for your audience. This is not something that you should be telling to your audience. I had a client that was doing that on his webinars, and I was like, dude, that's not for them. Okay. Why is this important? So that you know how to sell to your audience. Okay. If you know who and what their desires are and what that actual path is, your content becomes easy. To clarify what your marketing should be about. Okay. And this all of this it kind of intermingles. And there's a reason we kind of went through it this way too. So that I'm almost repeating myself a little bit, but it's important. It's that important. Okay. To identify your prospects' biggest roadblocks. Okay. Your big domino statement. Your big domino statement is designed to give you clarity on your message to your perfect prospect and not to be stated to your audience. This is also most likely will be the path that helped you get the result that they desire. So, like we talked about in a few slides ago, is you were in a place that they probably were at when you started, but you went through, you got the arrows in your back, in your back. You went through the trials to get to where you're at. So that's the path, right? So the realization of the epiphany that you had that made you so sold on the new way. So think of the domino as like, if you knock over this one domino, all the other dominoes fall, and then they must invest. It's their biggest frustration, and this what needs to be at the forefront of your conversations and your content of like, look, I know you have this big thing holding you back. And for example, if it is webinars, maybe it's just not getting enough people on to the webinars. So how do I knock over that domino for people? Well, you need to provide value and show people that you can actually help them. And the way you do that is by actually helping them. And it seems pretty simple, but there's more that goes into that. But that message is what I convey to get people to believe, okay, it's not some gimmick. It doesn't have to be even advertising, although advertising really streamlines and makes everything go a lot faster. But there's a roadblock there, and you got to push it over. Okay, you must sell the path before you sell the product. So again, webinars for me. I need to sell my audience that is the way before I try to sell them on my super special courses.com or whatever. Okay. Your prospect cares more about how your product or service can get them there than what your product or service actually does. So notice I'm not here showing you, and I'll do this in other videos and later videos, but it's not about the how. You're not going in and like, I could go in right now and I could show you how to build a funnel, but you're not going to want to sit here with me and do all that garbage. It's not garbage, but it's just mundane. It's just, and it's not how you sell. People don't care about that. It's just information. What we're trying to do with our content and stuff like that is help them get over those limiting beliefs, over those hurdles, so that way they can purchase our product or service, and then we go into the how, and on the actual like technical side of things, if that makes sense. So it's more about the path. Okay, sell the path before the product. And I got some bonuses for y'all. Okay, you ready? So what is your sales process? This is super important too. Now that you understand what your your refined marketing statement is, and a better idea of what that big domino is, and pushing that over to help them overcome their beliefs. Once you've gotten them to that point and yourself to that point, what's the sales process you put them through? Coaches, consultants, course creators, service businesses, brick and mortar. Okay. This is important because it's going to give you clarity. So clarity is the name of the game. It gives you a framework to follow every time, and it exposes the leaks in your business. So if one part of that sales process, you can kind of identify where something isn't going wrong if you have a clearly identified sales process. So for coaches and consultants, generally as a coach or consultant, you provide a personalized group or one-on-one environment to help your clients achieve their desired results. Course creators, in the position of a course creator, you provide a do-it-yourself information product that outlines the steps they need to take to get the result or results. Service businesses and brick and mortar, this is typically a done-for-you service that people use to save time, reduce workload, and get professional advice and results from someone that they trust. So for coaches and consultants, this is kind of the visual map that I would lay out. you attract in the lead. Now, obviously, there's going to be something before this, right? It's going to be your content. It's going to be your advertisements, your affiliates, your partnerships, whatever it is, right? So you've got the lead. The lead comes in, and for coaches and consultants, a value training with a call to action. So kind of like a webinar. I'm not sure if a lot of you on this call are familiar with webinars, but it's basically a 30 minutes of training that gives value and helps them understand that you can actually help them, and then gives them a call to action. Super simple. There's frameworks to follow when it comes to this, so it doesn't have to be extremely edited or high tech, anything like that. Okay, so once they've watched this webinar, they go to a booking page where they can schedule a call, and then they get on the call and you close. For coaches and consultants. Now, this isn't law, but for the most part, these are the processes you're going to follow. For course creators, again, you bring in the lead. This webinar is going to be a little bit longer because it's a higher ticket, typically. And again, I say it's not law because in course creators, you could sell a $47 product, do a short little sales video, and hopefully I'm not giving that language that I was telling you about earlier that might get you confused, but a short little video that sells them on why the product is so good, and then it takes them to a checkout and a confirmation and fulfills on the order. Pretty simple. And then for service businesses and brick and mortar, more of an in-person, you bring in the lead with a coupon or a free audit. If you're, for example, if I was to work with local businesses, I might give them an audit of their current systems to show them where they could improve, where they're leaking. Or if they were the local business, they could offer their clients a coupon or something for free. Typically, it's going to be something for free that they can come into the store and use and close the deal, right? So, or if it was the audit to the service-based business, I would probably schedule a consultation call and then maybe meet them in person or over the phone and close that deal. Okay. Not all processes are created equal. So that's why I said it's not law and should be carefully crafted for your own industry and your own expertise. So that was just kind of a framework that I wanted to give you guys. You guys can make it your own, but don't go too far outside of that, I would say, just to, not try to reinvent the wheel. And I'll kind of state that here. But as a final bonus tip, model success. I said this in the beginning. This is critical. And that's why Nikki T called me the funnel hacking kid. I'm a funnel hacker. Okay. I model success. I find people like Dan Henry or Frank Kern or Russell Brunson and model what they do. I don't try to make up my own funnels and just see if they work, because I know that those people have already put hundreds and millions of dollars towards advertising to test these things, so I don't have to. So I can take those elements, the messaging, I can take the offers, I can take the funnels, I can take the structure of the funnel, I can take the sales process, I can look at everything and make it my own. Make a list of all your competitors, the ones who are actually doing well. Again, be very, very, very like pay attention to that. Analyze who and how they are marketing and copy them. Okay. Obviously, don't steal. There's a difference between stealing and copying. Copying is taking what works and then making it your own. Make it for your own service, your own brand, your own message. Okay. Stealing would be copy and pasting and not changing it. Maybe a couple words, that's still kind of stealing. But for the most part, I would just use what other people are doing that is working as a framework. Okay. So recap, you must know exactly who you want to attract into your business and who you want to repel from your business. By knowing exactly who you want, you're simultaneously repelling those that you don't want. Okay. When it comes to my advertising strategy, we create engaging content for the people that we want, calling them out. It's called dog whistle copy or dog whistle videos or whatever. and it basically calls out to who we want. And if that doesn't meet, if you can't resonate with what who we're calling out to, you're not going to engage with the content, which is great. We don't want you in our email list. We don't want you in at, our list building on advertising. Some of the words that I have coming up, I'm blanking on, so that's why I'm kind of. But you need to know exactly who, so you can repel those you don't want. Okay, so you must know exactly what they want and how they're going to get it. So it's that ain't got it to the got it. That diagram I gave you. Those 3 to 5 main pillars. Know exactly what they want. What's that quantifiable end result, and how are they going to get it? What are those major steps? And this is where your RMS comes in. This is how you can continuously uh, speak that message and let them know that that's what they need to do in order to get it. In order to get it, excuse me. And you must know what their biggest frustrations, objections, and hurdles are, so that they feel understood and that you can actually help them. Because if you don't, and you're just kind of guessing, and you're telling them what they need and what they want, they're not even going to listen. You're going to lose them right away. And then as the bonuses, identify your sales process. If you're clear on the steps you need to take, you can identify where the leaks are and make adjustments fast. Bonus number 2, copy your competitors, but don't steal. Make it your own with your own message, your own service, your own offers, and your own branding. Be ethical. It will come back to bite you if you don't. Okay, so thanks for your time. Again, as Nikki T stated in the beginning, I am a funnel builder, the funnel hacking kid. And if you want extra help with your funnels, if you need extra guidance and stuff like that, feel free to message me or give me a call to see how my company can work with yours. It's 208-605-0881. And again, my name is Shane Kipper. So, time for questions.
Ooh, pick me. Question I've been dying to ask you, dude, is like, okay, so I get it, right? We got dialed in target market, we got clear on, what we do, who we help, all the above. Where would you start mapping a funnel, dude? Like, like let's say I hop on ClickFunnels, dude, there's hundreds of templates. There's the cookbook, you can buy templates, all the above. Like, how would you coach me to start? Like, what would I do? Like, like most people go like pick a cute template and like you're in there just playing like coloring book. But I know there's so much more science behind that. Like, where would you have somebody start building out their first funnel?
Um, I would say find your competitors. I would say look at what they're doing and buy their stuff. Sometimes people's things can be pretty expensive. I guess it really depends. Like for example, if I wanted to build, a course for a course creator, let's say, so they would have some sort of front end offer that's fairly cheap, so it's like a no-brainer. But then they have an upsell, and they might have 2 more upsells, or maybe they have some downsells. But in order for me to see their processes, I need to buy those things so that I can not only go through their content and learn something, but um, I can see what the next steps are. What is their copy like? And I should have said this in my training, but your RMS and your big domino statement, your refined marketing statement, um, are going to help you with writing your copy. But until you know that, you don't know how to write your copy because you're
For
just
sure. And
writing it.
that's why I could see like, that's why I was glad you did that, because even when, when I start a funnel, I'm like, well, what the hell am I going to say here? Like, who are we talking to? So it's almost like, I think this was phase 1, right? Like you get very dialed in on your who, and then it's almost like, how do you do that? Like the building blocks. So it sounds to me like you have a couple proven templates, like even as I'm starting my next freebie out, right? Versus me, like, cause I got some funnels I want you to help me with. So.
Yeah, man. I got plenty of templates. I've helped people in selling their free plus shipping book. I've done webinars. I've done almost every industry that you can kind of think of.